You may want to mute everyone. Good morning. I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and I want to welcome you to the Berks County Commissioners Board meeting for May the 13th. I'm going to recognize Commissioner Michael Rivera as Executive Assistant this morning, Barbara Lopez, and she will read the comment notice.
Thank you, Commissioner. Public comment will be accepted through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations on the platform being used, Teams Q&A, Facebook, and YouTube. The meeting comments period is limited to 30 minutes in total. Please be concise. Comments will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you, Barbara. And I should note we are broadcasting via Microsoft Teams live event and also on BCTV, Facebook, and YouTube Live. As we always do, we will take a moment of silence followed by a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we always do, we will begin our meeting with a Berks County COVID-19 data report. The report is being presented by Brian Gottschall. He's the director of the Berks County Department of Emergency Services, and he's lead on the Berks County COVID-19 leadership team. I want to make one other note, and that is that earlier today, this morning, in fact, the Berks County Red Cross recognized Brian Gottschall as one of the COVID-19 heroes, along with a number of other folks in our community. And I want to offer the congratulations of the County of Berks to Brian Gottschall, people that have been faithfully watching our commissioners meeting know that he has been a go-to person. And I know he has a great team around him, but he really has been the person we've relied on heavily throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you for your service and congratulations on this special recognition.
Commissioner, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Number one, I hope you can hear me. I'm having some audio problems this morning. Okay, great.
You're fine.
My incoming audio is problematic. I can barely hear you guys, but I have it turned up as loud as I can. So thank you again for the recognition. And you are right, we have an incredible team here, not just the people that have been working on the COVID issue, but all of our folks in the department, including the 911 center, who have, come to work every day, worked in very difficult conditions, continuously masked because they work in close proximity to each other. So we certainly all appreciate the recognition of the commissioners and the community in everything that we've done here, and I'm proud to accept that award on behalf of all of those folks. So as you noted, we are going to go over our COVID data report. This is our second week of our new kind of changed and reduced format to really focus on what's important right now in the community. The first thing I want to point out is our case and testing count. We are continuing to see a very nice decline in cases. We are seeing it in parallel with a decline in testing. Obviously, a lot less people producing for testing. The ideal would be if we saw the testing numbers stay reasonably up while our case count was going down. That would tell us with a lot more reassurance that what we're seeing is real. But in the words of Yogi Berra, it's deja vu all over again. I want to point out that the point that we're at here with the case count, the blue line, is a point that we've been at 3 other times during the pandemic. And it is certainly not where we were last spring when we saw the numbers begin to come down. Now, there's a couple variables there. We obviously have a lot more testing available, so we would assume that our numbers back in the spring of 2020 were not as high as they would have been had everybody that wanted to get tested had access to testing. And obviously the biggest change is that we have a lot of vaccine out in the community now. And in contrast with the fall decline, where we were going into the winter and everybody kind of locking themselves into their houses, we're now going into the spring and summer and everybody's getting out and about. So we're very hopeful that the combination of vaccine in the community and the change in the weather means that this downturn is going to really stick, for lack of a better term, and be significant in our coming out on the other side of the pandemic. I want to also illustrate at our hospitals, we're continuing to see a downward trend in numbers at the hospitals, but much as I showed in the case count, we are at about where we were 3 other times during the pandemic, back in March, back in February, and again back in November. So we're crossing that line at the same place. Our death curve, while we still continue to have people on a daily basis, 1 or 2 deaths on average, we are seeing that curve flatten out and look a lot better than it did even just a month and a half ago. Vaccine administrations are pretty much in the same place that they have been. Berks continues to be 10th by number of fully vaccinated, but when you look at that per capita, we're 48th in the state per capita, which is not, at least in my opinion, a very good place to be. Taking a look at our thermometer goals that we created beginning last week, again, 70% is the goal that has been set, both with respect to the achievement of herd immunity as well as kind of the removal of the mask mandate that the governor has put in place for indoor wearing. And based on CDC's numbers, which is percent of the population over 18 years old, we were at about 46% as of yesterday. When we look at percent of eligible, which yesterday included down to 15-year-olds, but now today, theoretically, and actually that'll only really start to happen next week, but effective as of today, it's down to 12-year-olds. So this number is, of course, based on down to 15 years old, and we in Berks County were at about 34.2%, the low in the state being in Fulton County at about 21%, and the high in Montour at 60%. So we've all got a way to go to get to that goal. Commissioner?
So, Brian, just so the folks that look at this understand, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, when they set the 70% goal, I believe I'm correct in saying they're basing that exclusively on the data from CDC, 18 years and older. So the thermometer on the left is the one that governs where we are and how close we are to the 70%. Is that your understanding?
That is 100% correct, Commissioner. The one caveat to that is that the governor, in making that statement, was silent as to whether, in essence, when the state hits 70%, that would alleviate us of the mask mandate, or will the governor end up doing this on a county-by-county basis? It alluded to the fact that it was a statewide goal, but as we've all seen throughout this, those goals have generally been more granular and broken down at the county level. So we're not 100% clear on what that means.
Yeah, I just want people to understand when they look at this, we're not trying to confuse them. The one is dealing with eligible, and the other is exclusively based on the CDC data.
Right, and to kind of drive that point home, we would expect that next week, let's assume nobody else got vaccinated between now and next week. We would assume that next week, this percentage is actually going to drop down. And we would say, well, how the heck did we go backwards? Nobody new got vaccinated, but nobody got unvaccinated. Well, the answer is by next week, the percent eligible will include all kids between 12 and 15, which makes the denominator, their fraction, bigger, so the percentage goes down.
Thank you.
Okay. And then just to kind of summarize that up for Berks County, we only can look at the number of eligible people. And what we know is that as of yesterday, we had 34.2% of the population fully vaccinated. If we roll into that number, those who have started the process, gotten their first shot, but still have their second shot pending, and we assume that all of those people would get vaccinated, that's going to take us to about that 50.7% number. which means that we're still looking for about 68,000 folks to step up and say that they've considered this and made the decision that they would like to receive vaccine to get to that 241,000 number in Berks County, including.
We were at 75,000 last week, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Gains. I think you said it well, Commissioner, a couple weeks ago. We're here for the long haul. This is not, we're not seeing 10,000 dose days. This is going to be a slog, not a marathon. Or I'm sorry, a slog, not a sprint. You can tell I don't do a whole lot of running. I don't know those terms. All right, and to wrap up, just want to illustrate to folks that do desire to go and receive vaccine. The easiest way to do it is go to www.doyourpartberks.com, where there's a screenshot there of what the screen will look like. You can click right on the top on the sign up here link, and it'll take you to a page that will show you all the various clinics that we're aware of that are going on in the community, including but not exclusive to the clinic being operated by Berks Community Health Center in the county out in Muhlenberg Township. And if you don't want to do it that way, if you don't have access to a computer, you don't like working through a computer, you can give a call to the 1-888 number at the bottom of the screen, where there are folks at Coe County Wellness who are working with us to man that call center and make sure that folks that don't access technology have equal access to the vaccine should they desire it. So that's what I have for this week, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Okay, we will move to Commissioner Barnhart. He's going to give the update on the Coe County Wellness contact tracing, as well as an update on the vaccine clinic and the vaccine effort at the Berks County Jail. Commissioner Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and good morning to everyone who has joined us. The Coe County Wellness Report for the prior week, May 5th to May 12th, 505 new contacts, still hovering around 71% success in reaching out to people that need contact tracing. To date, since we started with Coe County Wellness middle of June last year, 14,620 contacts. Line lists seem to be kind of at a stable number of 55 line lists they've had. Those are typically larger exposures that they're made aware of. The call center, as Brian pointed out, 888-712-2772, has been operational since May 19th with bilingual capability. They're also scheduling appointments for Oakside Pharmacy and Shillington Medicine Shop. Started doing our vaccine center on April 27th. To date, they've received 1,154 calls and assisted with vaccine appointments and answering other questions, and helping our area agencies on aging to schedule the truly homebound individuals who need vaccines. To date, BARDA has transported nearly 300 people to vaccine appointments, and several have gone to the vaccine center in Muhlenberg Township. Switching over to the vaccine center, something exciting and new for next week. The hours are going to change to modify to try to capture people on off hours. The first 2 weeks was 9 to 2, Monday through Friday. Starting Monday, they will be closed Monday and Tuesday, but open Wednesday from 7 to 6, Thursday from 7 to 6, Friday from 8 to 5, and Saturday 8 to 1. So they're going to expand the number of hours on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday to capture people either coming off a third shift at 7 a.m. or people who are getting off of work later in the afternoon, as well as people who only have Saturday in which to receive a vaccine. They also have the capacity to bring in all 3 varieties of vaccines. They will be bringing in Pfizer to administer to those in the age bracket 12 to 15. There has been a serious contact through the community health center to BCIU to try to encourage the school districts either to have their own vaccine center potentially set up in gymnasiums, but also to encourage them and push them into the Muhlenberg Township location for parents to bring their school-age children 12 to 15 for the Pfizer vaccine. Last but not least, we had a very successful vaccine event at the jail last week. All those inmates who were willing to participate and staff received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We will continue to have vaccine events at the jail as we go forward and try to get additional inmates and additional staff members vaccinated. That's what I have at this point, Commissioner Leinbach. Thank you for the time.
Are you giving an update on the jail?
I just did.
Oh, you just did? I
Yes.
missed that. Sorry, I was concentrating on reading the calendar on the Berks Cares and
that's okay.
Didn't catch that.
Yeah, we're going to have ongoing vaccine events at the jail as we get more inmates and staff members interested. Certainly, we have that flexibility now that vaccines have become much more plentiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I'm very pleased with the flexibility of the Berks Cares vaccine clinic, not just on the time, but allowing people to choose which vaccine they want. Different people have different preferences. So the Berks Cares vaccine clinic is trying to take care of people's needs. Are there any additions or corrections for the May 6th Commissioner meeting minutes and the May 11th operation meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have one executive session that was on May the 12th, and it dealt with personnel and litigation. Barbara, are there any comments on specific agenda items?
There are not at this time.
Thank you. Item 1, authorizing under that, Budget Department adopt a resolution authorizing 2020 budget transfers in the amount of $2,403,498 and 2020 appropriations in the amount of $483,686. 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $21,000 and 2021 appropriations in the amount of $2,739,117 per listing dated May the 10th of 2021. We have 2 items under Human Resources. Item 1, authorize the appointment of Brittany Mason to Assistant County Solicitor CYS in the Solicitor's Office. And then item 2, the promotion of Deirdre Brown from County Caseworker 2 to County Caseworker Supervisor 1 in Children and Youth Services. There are several items listed under the Commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing execution of a project modification amendment and project, well, there's 2 different project modification amendments. There are 2 grants previously awarded to the Opportunity House by the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for the Children's Alliance Center and has been transitioned to the Berks County District Attorney's Office by novation agreements. It was approved by a prior resolution. The grants will be used for salary provisions and operating expenses, discharge and released to Berks County to perform the obligations of the original grant agreements. Item B, adopt a resolution amending another resolution to reflect specific information to be included within the public meeting minutes as set forth within Section 706 of the Sunshine Act of Pennsylvania, and to also include information within the minutes designated by the board to be part of the official record during public meetings. This resolution further amends a prior resolution to indicate that public comment will be allowed 1 hour prior to the start of the public meeting. I just want to note, I did get a call from an interested citizen yesterday that had read something in the paper, and with the relatively new technology that we've been using for the last year, one of the things we never realized is that Microsoft Teams live event, whenever we post the link, comments are immediately open that people can post them. And sometimes we're getting comments a week in advance. Comments on the YouTube and Facebook platform are not open until we go live. So we had a discussion. Comments really should focus around the meetings. And so going forward, not today, but starting with public meetings from this meeting forward, any Microsoft Teams agenda will only be open for public comment 1 hour prior to the meeting. Now, what do I mean by that? It'll be open and it will remain open until we conclude reading all of the public comments, but it'll only be open 1 hour before, not roughly a week that it has been. Item C, adopt a resolution which ratifies, confirms, and approves Ronald Seaman, Chief Administrative Officer, as the authorized representative, contact person, and authorized signer of the application for the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund award terms and conditions, and the Financial Assistance Agreement and Title VI Assurance Form, and any and all other documents that may be required to complete the award process. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing execution of the following letters of support for funding requests to the Department of Community and Economic Development of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Item 1, Amity Township Lake Drive Park Project. Item 2, Ruscombe Manor Township Strauss Park and Seidel Park Revitalization Project. Item E, adopt a resolution ratifying, confirming, and approving the chair, execution, and approval of the agreement for the emergency rental assistance funds from the American Rescue Plan, and further authorizes the redevelopment authority of the County of Berks to administer the emergency rental assistance funds on behalf of the County of Berks. Item F, adopt a resolution authorizing the following appointments to the Berks County Uniform Construction Code Board of Appeals to serve until the respective successors shall be appointed and qualified. Mark Robinson, West Lawn, PA. Rick Shardle, Wyomissing, PA. Scott Landis, Reading, PA. John Watkins, Fleetwood, PA. And Pete Silberman, Mertztown, PA. And then item G, adopt a resolution authorizing acceptance and execution of the proposal letter dated May 10 of 2021 from the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance to provide leadership development training for county management confidential employees at a not to exceed amount of $5,500, subject to final review and approval by the county solicitor's office. Item 2, a motion authorizing execution of contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the attached listing dated May the 11th of 2021. There are a total of 9 contracts, 2 with the Area Agency on Aging, 1 with CareerLink, 1 with Children and Youth Services, 2 with Children and Youth Services, 1 with Election Services, 2 with Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities, and 1 with the Treasurer's Office. And item 3, a motion to ratify and confirm payments as set forth on the Controller's Office voucher listing dated May the 11th of 2021, and the payment of electronic transfers and employee payroll.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. We'll turn now to our Berks County Treasurer, Dennis Adams, with the County Treasurer's report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Looks like some nice weather for a change. We have an opening balance today of $244,359,084.94. A balance to clear of $3,368,240.80, leaving us with a balance of $240,990,844.14.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And now we will move to our county controller, Sandy Graffius, with the controller's report.
All righty. We had total accounts payable of $7,315,406.
Be there. I'll be visiting the different places. I already purchased my tickets because for me it's important to learn about the history here in Berks County. Also, the second round of applications for the CHIRP grant, which is the COVID Hospitality Industry Recovery Plan grant for, again, businesses in the hospitality industry. The second round is open. It closes this Monday, May 17th at 5 p.m. So if you're thinking about it and you have not got to it yet, please do so. If you know of a restaurant owner, a hotel owner, a caterer, anyone within the hospitality industry, someone that you visit on a regular basis, ask them, hey, have you applied for the CHIRP program? If not, encourage them to do that. And you would do that at rebuildberks.com/funding. Again, rebuildberks.com/funding. Last week, I had the opportunity to go and hand out checks for the first round of the CHIRP grant, and I had the opportunity to visit 7 businesses. That was Russo's Pizza in downtown Reading, Dan's on Green Hills, the Peanut Bar, Judy's on Cherry, La Cocina Mexicana in Temple, my Missing Family Restaurant, and Stokes. I also had the opportunity to sit down and talk a bit with these owners and listen to the struggles that they've gone through this past year and a half. The struggles still continue. They have not, the struggles have not stopped yet. Last year, their struggle was being able to open, getting people in the restaurant to be able to consume their products. Now their struggle is getting employees to be able to work. So the struggle for many of our local businesses still continue. So, please, everyone, let's continue to do our part so we can get over this COVID hump, get back to some form of normalcy, because although we are getting back to some normalcy, restrictions are easing up. Our businesses, and not only in the hospitality industry, but businesses in all industries are being hurt because of the lack of employees to be able to work. So, again, I want to thank these business owners for staying open, for doing what they could throughout this difficult time period and the difficult time period they're going through right now. So let's please get out and support our small business owners, not just restaurants and hospitality businesses, but all our local small businesses, because they play an important role in our economy. That's all I have. Commissioner Leinbach, back to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rivera and Commissioner Barnhart. I have several items I want to cover. First of all 3 commissioners, incidentally, had the privilege of delivering checks for the CHIRP program. I delivered on Friday, and most of them on Friday, one on Saturday. Willoughby's Bar and Grill, Ole Turnpike Dairy, Pike Cafe, Savory Grill, Sweet Ride Ice Cream, the Farmhouse Kitchen, and then Trainer's Midway Diner. Across the board, these operations right now are struggling desperately to hire staff, and they're starting at $15, some even higher per hour. I talked to one of the owners that is giving a $100 bonus to every employee that gets the COVID vaccine. I talked to a number of them that have had to cut their hours that they're open because they don't have enough staff to be open for normal hours. The discussion over the last several weeks on our Monday meetings with the County Commissioners Association, the Governor's Office, DOH and PEMA, has also revolved around this issue. And as Commissioner Rivera noted, this is not an issue exclusive to restaurants and the hospitality industry. It is an across-the-board issue. There is a desperate need for people to work, and yet we're dealing with huge numbers of people on unemployment, and there appear to be 2 drivers. One of the big issues is the rules requiring individuals on unemployment to seek work and demonstrate that they're seeking work are not currently in place. Because of COVID, those were lifted. And so there is not an incentive for people who are unemployed to go find work. And you don't have to look very far in Berks County to find a wide array of good paying jobs, in many cases full benefits, that are currently unfilled and having a negative impact, not just on our local economy, but a negative impact across the country. Two other things I want to touch on. I am leading two different efforts here in the county. One is the county recovery team. We already had our first meeting. We have our next meeting on May the 20th. And just share a little bit of information. What we're looking at is I don't want to say coming out of COVID, because we're not necessarily out of the woods yet relative to COVID, but we're in a different place. May 30th, things are opening up significantly. So I'm leading a team composed of representatives from our courts, representatives from our row officers, and I want to recognize the people on our team. Steve Weber is representing the courts. Our county prothonotary, Jonathan Delcalo, is representing the row officers. Matt Sokowski is on our committee. He is our director of facilities. Ron Seaman and Pam Shupp-Mennett are on the committee. They're dealing with direct report counties. And Jess Weekneck from our HR. We're looking at two core areas. One is our telework policy. What are we going to do long term? And then secondly, we are reviewing and updating the June 2020 Berks County Human Resources Workplace Safety Guide to focus on the improvements, the availability of vaccine, et cetera. We do anticipate, and the commissioners discussed and made a commitment to this issue, having in-person commissioners meetings sometime in July. The delay in not doing that sooner is that the technology in the commissioners boardroom is being updated so that we will be able to do hybrid meetings going forward. People that want to come to the commissioners meeting and be there in person will be able to do so. However, people will be able to continue to follow us on Microsoft Teams live event, Facebook and YouTube live, and they will continue to be able to make comments through those platforms. So there's a lot going on relative to that committee. The other committee that I am overseeing is our American Recovery Program, ARP, and I oversee the Special Projects and Infrastructure Committee. Each of the commissioners are overseeing key areas, and generally speaking, Commissioner Rivera is overseeing economic development areas, and Commissioner Barnhart in overarching areas, human services, social services, community nonprofits, et cetera. And we divided those up. In my particular area, we have 4 core subcommittees. Our transportation subcommittee is being headed up by Paul Jansen from the Berks Municipal Partnership. Underneath that, we're looking at rail, roads and bridges, airport, other potential areas. The second subcommittee is broadband. That's being headed up by our Chief Information Officer, Justin Luce. The sewer and water area is being headed up by Chip Bilger. He is the director of the Western Berks Sewer and Water, or the Western Berks Water Authority. And then Special Projects, which is a category within the American Recovery Plan is being headed up by Ken Pick and Peter Battaglia from the Berks County Redevelopment Authority. We have already had our first kickoff meeting. We have to work, all three commissioners, in fact, have to work within the federal guidelines that direct how these dollars can be used. But I just want the public to know that the commissioners take this money very seriously. We understand at its core, this is taxpayer money, and that we have an obligation to make sure that it is spent appropriately. And our objective across the board is to try to spend it in a way that provides the longest lasting benefit to the county in whatever area those dollars are being spent. That's all that I have for my report. At this time, I would recognize any of our row officers for public comment. Sandy Graffius.
I want to announce that we're getting the debit cards straightened out for the election people. I keep repeating this. This is not a scam. The county is rolling out a debit card program, and we will be sending them to the veterans' families, as well as we're giving them out this coming week to the election workers.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Any other comments from other row officers?
Yes, I'd like to bring you up on the.
Yes, Dennis Adams, our county treasurer.
We're going into a new system for the June tax sale. We're going to do it online versus live, and a lot of reasons for that. The pandemic, we've had as high as 500 people at a tax sale, and that would be a lot to put into a room. So June 18th will be the tax sale as usual, but we're going to do it online. If you go to our website, we're starting to put the information up there, and over the next week or so, there'll be directions for people to be able to bid and get involved with the whole process. So we're kind of excited to that. That's a process the sheriff's office is trying to use for a real estate sale. So I think it'll fit in nicely. It'll be a nice, smooth transition.
Yeah, Dennis, I think that's a very good move. I'm aware here in the Commonwealth and even across the country, this is being done long term. Because it makes it, the more bidders that you have at a sale, the more likely the county will see significant dollars come in that are owed to the county. Right. The fewer people you have at a sale, the more challenged the revenues may be. So I think that this is frankly something that we're going to see continue going forward. If there's no need to bring 500 people together, why would you do that? And now by doing it online, people that otherwise may not be able to attend in person can participate at a distance.
Right, and it'll be a cost saving to us as well. We won't have to rent the hall, do all the advertising and things. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, and it'll be exciting to see how this first one works out. Now we're using a company that's fairly experienced with this stuff, so it'll free up our staff during the tax sale to be able to respond to people. Today they're running around trying to collect money and all kind of things. So we'll be able to keep the office open because of if people want to come in at the last minute and pay, it'll be right there online, bang, done. So it should be a good process. It'll be exciting. See you on the 18th.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Any of our other row officers for comment? Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll move to public comment, and Barbara Lopez, Executive Assistant to Commissioner Rivera, will be reading the public comments.
Fred Zengraf, Berkshire Heights. Greetings, commissioners. It is doubtful I will ever be convinced the 11/6/20 election was not stolen from President Trump. Hopefully, he will be reelected in 2024 to continue his Make America Great Again effort. It is important to me his historic accomplishments as president be made part of the county record. The following is a partial list limited by space available. Jobs and investments are pouring into opportunity zones. Created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones where capital gains on long-term investments are taxed at zero. Opportunity zone designations have increased property values within them by 1.1%, creating an estimated $11 billion in wealth for the nearly half of opportunity zone residents who own their own home. Opportunity zones have attracted $75 billion in funds and driven $52 billion of new investments in economically distressed communities, creating at least 500,000 new jobs. Approximately 1 million Americans will be lifted from poverty as a result of these new investments. Private equity investments into businesses in opportunity zones were nearly 30% higher than investments into businesses in similar areas that were not designated opportunity zones. Massive deregulation ended the regulatory assault on American businesses and workers. Instead of two for one, 8 old regulations were eliminated for every 1 new regulation adopted, provided the average American household an extra $3,100 every year, reduced the direct cost of regulatory compliance by $50 billion, and will reduce costs by an additional $50 billion in fiscal year 2020 alone. Removed nearly 25,000 pages from the Federal Register, more than any other president. The previous administration added over 16,000 pages. The current administration policies will have a negative impact on these positive accomplishments to the detriment of our prosperity. Thank you and Godspeed. Dwight Wegman, Lower Heidelberg Township. Our nation was founded with the principle that citizens should have a voice in government. Checks and balances were built into our government so that no one branch of government could abuse its power. Sadly, the COVID pandemic has revealed that Governor Wolf does not respect the checks and balances of our government and has intentionally and repeatedly ignored the State House and Senate with regard to his emergency declarations regarding the pandemic. Therefore, it is imperative that we as citizens vote yes on the first 2 resolutions on the ballot in the primary election next Tuesday, May 18th. No governor from any party should have the ability to enact unending emergency declarations without the consent of our elected senators and representatives. Approval of these 2 ballot questions will restore the needed check and balance to our state government. Crystal Kowalski, Wyoming. Good morning, Commissioners. Berks County and the greater Reading area are looking towards a time of great renewal. With the upcoming opening of the Drexel University College of Medicine and the promise of a possible train connection with New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., we are truly poised for sustained economic growth. As we work together towards this goal, let's remember that a rising tide does not necessarily raise all boats. We can at this pivotal time choose to structure our growth to benefit all our citizens, but we must actively choose and plan for this outcome. We must be especially careful not to further criminalize poverty. It would be very beneficial to both the leadership of Berks County and the City of Reading to bring in an organization that has experience working for equity in communities to help us structure sustainable and equitable growth. An organization of this type could help us avoid enacting new ordinances like the one in Reading, cracking down on panhandling and loitering in the city. Let's work and plan together to build a community that is fair and just. Thank you. Joel Tolentino, Reading. Join us on Thursday, May 13th, 2021 at 8 a.m. for our 17th annual American Red Cross Berks County Heroes Breakfast, honoring the members of our community who have demonstrated heroism through extraordinary acts of courage or kindness. This year's event will be held virtually. John James Burnville. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to comment during the Commissioners' meeting. In the spirit of previous comment, I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize the exceptional presidency of Donald J. Trump, his exceptional break with presidential tradition and transparency, his exceptional disregard for the Constitution, in particular, the emoluments caused, and finally, his exceptional disregard for the peaceful transition of power. No president in the history of our very great nation has ever fomented rebellion and violence to overthrow an election. In closing, I'd like to note that he has done something no Democratic president ever dreamt of doing. He destroyed the Republican Party. Thank you. And that was the last comment in the Q&A.
That closes our public comment. I'm just going to make one note. In accordance with my belief and my colleagues' belief in free speech, we have faithfully read every single comment as presented. However, I would really ask commenters to focus on the County of Berks and county business and issues that we're involved in directly. And I will note, and I may at some point take this on because I'm not interested in getting into a national debate back and forth. If you look at the rules on public comment in section 2, subsection D, the chair may rule out of order and decline to read any public comment which is scandalous, impertinent, irrelevant, redundant, or comments which the discernible purpose or effect of is to disrupt or needlessly protract the proceedings of the meeting. Now, you can decide back and forth which if you look at of this statement I'm looking at. I don't want to do that. I hate having to decide whose voice is heard and whose voice isn't heard. But at some point, I really think it's important that comments focus around the role of the county, things that we can influence, issues that we are involved in on a day-to-day basis. And I just am noting that that's something that I may have to address. Also, I will note again that effective going forward, the public comment section of Microsoft Teams live event will only be open an hour before the meeting, and it will remain open until we reach this point in the meeting where all comments have been read and the comment section is closed. That's all that I have. My colleagues have any comment? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
The motion has been made and seconded, and we stand adjourned.